Being gay or homosexual was not openly accepted during the golden age of Hollywood, but that didn't stop many famous actors from living their truth, albeit in secrecy. The pressure to maintain a certain image was immense, as careers often depended on adhering to society's strict expectations. Yet, behind closed doors, several stars navigated personal relationships that defied the norms of their time. Here are 24 Golden Age actors who secretly had affairs with men, but publicly denied it. Liberace. Liberace was closeted and never publicly acknowledged that he was gay, but his sexuality was an open secret in showbiz circles. Liberace testified under oath that he was not gay and had never been involved in homosexual activity, but nobody still believed in him. Liberace was known for his taste for Mexican boys, his prodigious sexual appetite, and his fondness for rough trade. Liberace hired Thorson to be his personal friend and companion when Thorson was 18. Some say that the two had a 5-year romantic relationship. The biopic Behind the Candelabra focuses on Liberace's relationship with Thorson. The film stars Michael Douglas as Liberace and Matt Damon as Thorson. Liberace denied everything. He was even involved in 2 lawsuits related to his sexuality. First was with Daily Mirror, when Liberace sued the Daily Mirror over an article that described him in an innuendo-laden way. Second one was with Palimony, where Liberace's former chauffeur, Scott Thorson, sued Liberace for $113 million in palimony after being let go. Liberace denied that he was homosexual and insisted that Thorson was never his lover. The case was settled out of court in 1986. In a 2011 interview, actress and close friend Betty White confirmed that Liberace was indeed gay, and that she often was used as a beard by his managers to counter public rumors of the musician's homosexuality. Laurence Olivier. Since Olivier's death, multiple biographers have produced books about him, several of which include the claim that Olivier was bisexual. Biographer Donald Spoto claimed that Danny Kaye and Olivier were lovers. Joan Plowright, Olivier's widow, denies the affair with Kaye in her memoir. Terry Coleman's authorized biography of Olivier suggests a relationship between Olivier and an older actor, Henry Ainley, based on correspondence from Ainley to Olivier, although the book disputes that there is any evidence linking Olivier sexually to Kaye. Olivier's son Tarquin disputed these rumors as unforgivable garbage and sought to suppress them. Lawrence married 3 times, his first marriage to actress Jill Esmond. Next was Vivian Leigh. This was a passionate and long affair, which ultimately unraveled due to his inability to cope with her emerging bipolar disorder. Olivier's final wife was Joan Plowright. Olivier was plagued with bisexual rumors throughout his career, including one particular scandal claiming that he had a 10-year-long affair with Danny Kaye. In his autobiography, Olivier admitted to being attracted to Kaye, but says he never acted on his attractions. In addition to this, Olivier's official biographer found records that Olivier had at least one same-sex affair in his youth with an actor named Henry Ainley, Carrie Grant. Grant denied being gay during his lifetime, famously quipping, "I don't care what people say. Hell, I'm not going to go through life with one hand tied behind my back just to please a few people." Despite his denials, his close relationships and the enduring rumors have made him a key figure in discussions about closeted stars in Hollywood's golden age. While he was married 5 times to women, rumors of his relationships with men have persisted for decades, fueled by close relationships, shared living arrangements, and Hollywood gossip. One of the most talked about aspects of Grant's life was his relationship with fellow actor Randolph Scott. The two shared a Malibu beach house, famously dubbed Bachelor Hall, for over a decade in the 1930s and 1940s. Photos of the pair lounging by the pool, cooking together, and generally appearing as a domestic couple have added fuel to the speculation. They were inseparable, prompting many Hollywood insiders to believe they were romantically involved. Studios worked hard to frame their relationship as a bromance and paired them with female stars to counter rumors. Grant's relationship with designer Ori Kelly, whom he lived with early in his career, is another key point of discussion. Ori Kelly, openly gay and one of Hollywood's most celebrated costume designers, wrote about their relationship in his memoir, though the book was not published until decades later. According to Ori Kelly, their bond was deep and romantic before Grant became a household name and pursued a more conventional public image. Another name often linked to Grant is actor Scotty Bowers, who worked as a Hollywood fixer and claimed in his memoir, Full Service, to have arranged same-sex encounters for Grant and other stars. While Bowers' accounts have been contested, they added to the narrative surrounding Grant's private life. Grant's marriages, particularly his first to Virginia Cheryl, have also drawn attention. Cheryl claimed Grant was controlling and aloof, which some interpreted as a sign of his hidden struggles with his identity. Divorce papers from one of his marriages reportedly included accusations of intimate relationships with men, though these claims remain unverified. Ramon Navaro. Ramon Navaro, a prominent actor of Hollywood's silent and early sound eras, is widely recognized for his secret relationships with men during a time when homosexuality was not publicly accepted. Known for his roles in films like Ben-Hur in 1925, Navaro carefully concealed his personal life to preserve his career and avoid societal backlash. Despite his public image as a romantic leading man, Navaro's relationships with men were an open secret among Hollywood insiders. Friends and colleagues later recounted his struggles with maintaining his private life in an industry that strictly enforced heteronormative ideals. He lived discreetly, but privately embraced his identity, forming connections with other men in his social and professional circles. Tragically, his sexuality became a focal point in his untimely death. In 1968, Navaro was brutally murdered in his home during a robbery orchestrated by two young men. Sensationalized reports unfairly emphasized his sexuality, overshadowing his career achievements. His death became a stark reminder of the dangers and prejudices faced by pride individuals during his time. Charles Laughton. Laughton's bisexuality was corroborated by several of his contemporaries and is generally accepted by Hollywood historians. Hollywood procurer and prostitute Scotty Bowers alleged in his memoir Full Service that Laughton was in love with Tyrone Power and that his sex life was exclusively homosexual. During a period of his life after his marriage, the emotional center of his life shifted. He began to come to terms with his homosexuality, which he had furtively pursued since the 1920s, while maintaining the facade of his marriage to Elsa Lanchester. Eventually, he started to have sustained relationships with men. He also felt an impulse to teach, which he did in Los Angeles, with mentors including Marilyn Monroe and Shelley Winters. He took to the American University touring circuit with celebrated readings from the Bible, then with a superb evening called Charles Laughton, the Storyteller, and he returned to the stage as both actor and director. James Dean. James Dean, the quintessential rebel of the 1950s, lived a life that defied conventions. His bisexuality was an open secret among his peers, with whispers of relationships with both men and women. Dean's charm attracted numerous admirers, including influential men in Hollywood. His rumored relationship with producer Rogers Brackett was particularly noted, as Brackett is said to have played a significant role in advancing Dean's career. Despite the rumors, Dean's enigmatic persona allowed him to remain a captivating figure. His untimely death at 24 cemented his legacy as a cultural icon, leaving behind questions about what he might have revealed had he lived longer. Rock Hudson. Rock Hudson, one of Hollywood's most iconic leading men, was known for his dashing looks and charismatic on-screen presence. Behind the scenes, however, Hudson's private life was a closely guarded secret. While publicly linked to numerous actresses for appearances, he was romantically involved with several men during his career. His homosexuality was an open secret in Hollywood, but the fear of scandal kept him silent. Hudson's close friends and colleagues protected his secret, understanding the risks he faced in a homophobic industry. His relationships, including a significant one with his partner Mark Christian, were largely hidden from public view. Tragically, Hudson's battle with AIDS in the 1980s brought his private life into the spotlight. He became one of the first major celebrities to die of the disease, sparking widespread awareness and advocacy. Montgomery Clift. Montgomery Clift was a trailblazer in Hollywood, bringing a new level of emotional depth to his roles. Off-screen, Clift was a deeply private man who struggled with his sexuality. He was romantically linked to both men and women, maintaining discreet relationships with male partners throughout his career. Clift's friendship with Elizabeth Taylor was one of his most notable connections. She remained a confidant and ally as he navigated the pressures of fame and secrecy. Clift's struggles with substance abuse and his tragic early death at 45 have often been linked to the stress of hiding his true self in a judgmental industry. His work remains influential, a testament to his talent and resilience. Anthony Perkins. Anthony Perkins, best known for his role as Norman Bates in Psycho, lived a life marked by duality. While publicly married to photographer Barry Berenson, Perkins had numerous relationships with men, including a rumored affair with dancer and choreographer Rudolf Nureyev. Perkins's bisexuality was an open secret in Hollywood, but he remained cautious about revealing too much. The era's stigma forced him to compartmentalize his personal and professional lives. Perkins's life was tragically cut short when he died of AIDS-related complications in 1992, but his legacy as a complex and talented actor endures. Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando, a revolutionary figure in Hollywood, was open about his fluid sexuality later in life. Known for his groundbreaking performances and rebellious spirit, Brando admitted to having had relationships with men, including rumors about a liaison with actor James Dean. Brando's candidness about his experiences was rare for his time, breaking taboos in a highly conservative industry. One of the most talked about rumored relationships in Brando's life was with fellow actor James Dean. The two were said to have shared an intense, though possibly tumultuous, connection. While neither Brando nor Dean ever publicly confirmed a romantic relationship, numerous biographers and Hollywood insiders have speculated about their bond. Some accounts describe Brando as the dominant figure in the relationship, allegedly toying with Dean's affections while remaining emotionally distant. Another name often linked to Brando is writer and activist Wally Cox, Brando's childhood friend and lifelong confidant. Brando was deeply attached to Cox, even keeping Cox's ashes in his home after his death, reportedly next to his own bed. While their friendship was undeniably close, whether it crossed into a romantic or sexual relationship has never been confirmed, though it has been widely rumored. Tab Hunter. Tab Hunter, the blonde, blue-eyed heartthrob of 1950s Hollywood, lived much of his life hiding a significant secret. He was gay. In an era when being openly gay could end a career, Hunter carefully maintained a public image of the all-American, heterosexual leading man, even being paired with female stars like Natalie Wood for publicity. However, behind the scenes, Hunter was navigating a different reality. Hunter's most significant relationship was with figure skater and actor Ronnie Robertson. Though their connection was never public, their bond was well known in Hollywood's inner circles. Hunter also had a close relationship with Anthony Perkins, the star of Psycho. The two shared a romantic relationship in the 1950s, but it was kept under wraps due to the pressures of the studio system. Perkins, like Hunter, was also a closeted gay man, and their relationship ended as both men dealt with the challenges of maintaining their careers in a hostile environment. One notable incident occurred in 1955 when Confidential magazine, infamous for outing celebrities, threatened to expose Hunter's sexuality. Warner Brothers, the studio backing Hunter, intervened to protect their investment in his rising stardom. The studio orchestrated publicity dates with actresses and kept his private life tightly controlled. It wasn't until decades later that Tab Hunter embraced his truth, coming out in his 2005 memoir, Tab Hunter Confidential. His story highlights the intense pressures of Hollywood's golden age and his quiet resilience in living authentically despite the odds. Randolph Scott. There's been a lot of speculation about Randolph Scott, one of Hollywood's most iconic leading men. Was he gay? While Scott never publicly addressed his sexuality, rumors have swirled for decades, and they mostly center around his relationship with Carrie Grant. Yes, that Carrie Grant. The two lived together in a beachfront home in Malibu for over a decade in the 1930s and 1940s. They even posed for photos together that showed them looking more like a couple than just roommates. Some people called their home the Bachelor Hall, but others whispered it was more of a love nest. Now, were they partners? Some Hollywood insiders believed they were, though the studio system at the time worked overtime to suppress any rumors. Scott also married twice, which some argue was a way to keep up appearances, but others believe his marriages were genuine. As for partners, it's hard to say how many relationships Scott might have had with men. Carrie Grant is the most talked about connection, and there's no concrete evidence pointing to other male partners. But one interesting example often brought up involves a Hollywood party where Scott and Grant were spotted spending an unusual amount of time away from the crowd, deep in conversation, and seemingly lost in their own world. The host reportedly joked about them sneaking off, fueling more gossip. Whether or not Randolph Scott was gay remains a mystery, but his close bond with Carrie Grant has made him a fascinating figure in Hollywood history. It's a story that's as much about what's unsaid as what's known. Sal Mano. Sal Mano's sexuality and secret relationships with men are widely supported by historical accounts, his own statements, and the cultural context of his era. Mano, best known for his role as Plato in Rebel Without a Cause in 1955, was described by peers as a sensitive and introspective individual. His early experiences of abuse and objectification, as recounted by those close to him, shaped his complex understanding of sexuality. Tennessee Williams highlighted how Mano, even as a child, navigated a world that commodified his beauty and sexual identity. These experiences likely fueled his empathy and connection to the LGBTQ+ community. By the 1960s, Mano became increasingly involved in artistic projects that explored themes of homosexuality. He directed and starred in Fortune and Men's Eyes, 1967, a play about homosexuality and prison life, and played a bisexual character in P.S. Your Cat is Dead in 1976. Such roles reflected his willingness to engage with topics that mirrored aspects of his own life, despite the stigma of time. In a 1972 interview with Bose Hadley, Mano discussed his bisexuality, an admission rare for Hollywood actors in an era of intense scrutiny and homophobia. While not entirely open about his relationships, Mano's choice of roles and candid remarks indicated his comfort with his identity within trusted circles. Mano's murder in 1976 became a flashpoint for speculative and often cruel commentary, reinforcing the prejudices of the time. The media sensationalized his death, framing it as a byproduct of his sexuality rather than a tragic crime. However, those close to him, including Hadley and other contemporaries, portrayed Mano as a trailblazer who embraced his identity despite societal pressures. Farley Granger. Farley Granger, renowned for his roles in Alfred Hitchcock's Rope and Strangers on a Train, led a personal life that was discreetly complex, especially concerning his relationships with men. In his memoir, Include Me Out, My Life from Goldwyn to Broadway, Granger candidly discusses his bisexuality and details his romantic involvements with both genders. One of Granger's significant relationships was with playwright Arthur Laurents, whom he met in the late 1940s. Their romantic involvement lasted about a year, evolving into a lifelong, albeit tumultuous, friendship. Granger also had a brief affair with composer Leonard Bernstein during the filming of Side Street in 1949. Bernstein even invited Granger to join him on a South American tour, but by the time Granger completed his film commitments, Bernstein had married Felicia Montealegre. Despite this, the two men remained friends until Bernstein's death. Granger's most enduring relationship was with television producer Robert Calhoun. Their partnership spanned over 3 decades, lasting until Calhoun's death in 2008. Throughout his career, Granger maintained a level of discretion regarding his sexuality, a necessity in an era when open acknowledgement could have jeopardized his professional standing. However, within the entertainment industry and among close associates, his relationships with men were known and accepted. In his later years, Granger embraced his identity more openly, reflecting on his experiences without shame or regret. His memoir serves as a testament to his journey. offering insights into the challenges of navigating personal authenticity within the constraints of Hollywood's golden age. Clifton Webb. He never really told anyone directly that he was homosexual, but he never really hid it either. He wasn't ashamed to be who he was and never regretted it. Though Webb played a gossip columnist on the silver screen, he couldn't prevent conversations of his sexuality from constantly being had in real-life media. He was linked romantically to James Dean, though there is no proof of this to be found. He never married and was never seen out on dates. Everyone associated him with his love for his mother, who was his date to parties and movie premieres. Often awarded the honor of best dressed in Hollywood, Webb seemed to be held to many stereotypes. His sexuality is assumed because of the way he acted, dressed, looked, and talked. He was not afraid to act outside of the strictly enforced gender roles of the 40s and 50s. However, we do have some proof that Webb was not exactly straight. He was known to hit on young men at parties. His co-worker Robert Wagner stated that he knew Clifton was gay, but he never hit on him. Scotty Bowers, the author of Full Service, a book I have a lot of issues with, said he arranged gay tricks for Webb, though I don't believe much of what Bowers wrote. More signs point to Webb as queer than they do anything else. Webb did what he could in the era he lived in. When he passed away in the 60s, the Stonewall riots were still years away. Being openly gay was not exactly an option. Regardless of staying closeted, knowing that his sexuality was something people during the Golden Age knew about and seemingly accepted, paved the way for the future of LGBT actors in Hollywood. Dirk Bogard. Dirk Bogard was in a long-term relationship with his manager, Anthony Forwood, and they lived together for almost 40 years. His sexuality was an open secret within the entertainment industry and among his close friends. However, Bogard never publicly acknowledged his relationship with Forwood or came out as gay. The risks to his career were too great, with studio contracts at the time explicitly prohibiting deviant sexual behavior, and even rumors about one's personal life could end a flourishing acting career. In 1961, Bogard took a bold step by starring in Victim, a groundbreaking film where he portrayed a gay man caught in a blackmail scheme. This was a significant moment in British film history, as it was the first to use the word homosexual in its narrative. The role was risky, but demonstrated Bogard's dedication to meaningful storytelling, even at the expense of potential backlash. At the peak of his popularity, Bogard was England's most beloved actor, and was even considered for the iconic role of James Bond. Despite his success, he navigated the complexities of his private life with discretion, balancing fame with the need to keep his identity hidden. His legacy reflects the tension between societal constraints and personal authenticity, as well as his bravery in subtly challenging norms through his work and choices. Richard Chamberlain. Chamberlain was involved romantically with actor Wesley Ure in the 1970s. In 1977, Chamberlain began a long-term relationship with Martin Rabbit, an actor, like Ure, 20 years his junior. Richard Chamberlain kept his homosexuality a secret for most of his career, choosing not to publicly disclose his relationships with men due to concerns about his acting career, and only came out publicly in his 2003 memoir, Shattered Love. He was involved in a long-term relationship with actor Martin Rabbit for many years. Richard Chamberlain, one of TV's most beloved leading men, captured hearts as the sensitive Dr. Kildare and the passionate priest in The Thornbirds. Yet behind the scenes, Chamberlain lived with a secret that he feared could ruin his career. He was gay. For decades, he kept this hidden, believing that revealing his sexuality would cost him leading roles and public admiration. In the Hollywood of his era, being a gay actor was a career risk, especially for someone seen as a romantic heartthrob. Chamberlain later admitted that he felt he had no choice but to stay in the closet. In his own words, there is still a tremendous amount of homophobia in our culture. For a gay leading man, it's dangerous to come out. Despite the progress made by the LGBTQ+ community, Chamberlain emphasized that the entertainment industry remains rooted in outdated prejudices. He even advised other actors to keep their sexuality private if they wanted to sustain their careers. It's just silly for a working actor to say, "Oh, I don't care if anybody knows I'm gay," he explained, highlighting the ongoing stigma. Chamberlain finally came out in 2003 in his memoir, Shattered Love. By then, he no longer felt the pressure to maintain his romantic leading man image. Reflecting on his decision, he said, "I can talk about it now because I'm not afraid anymore." His courage to speak openly came after years of navigating Hollywood's unspoken rules, a journey that highlights the struggles faced by LGBTQ+ actors of his generation. John Gilggood. Sir John Gilggood, born in 1904, was a distinguished British actor whose career spanned over 8 decades, earning him acclaim in theatre, film, and television. Despite his professional success, Gilggood's personal life was marked by the challenges of being a gay man during a time when homosexuality was both socially stigmatized and criminalized in the United Kingdom. In 1953, Gilggood faced a significant personal and professional crisis when he was arrested in Chelsea for importuning for immoral purposes, a charge related to soliciting homosexual acts, which were illegal at the time. This incident subjected him to public scrutiny and personal humiliation. However, the theater community's support was evident when, following the arrest, Gilggood received a standing ovation during his next stage performance, signaling a disconnect between public affection for his artistry and the era's legal and social prejudices. Gilggood's correspondence reveals his internal struggles with his sexuality and the fear of exposure. Letters to his long-term partner, Martin Hensler, disclose his anxieties about being publicly outed and the potential repercussions on his career and personal life. Despite these challenges, Gilggood maintained a discreet yet enduring relationship with Hensler, who was 30 years his junior, and remained his companion until Hensler's death shortly before Gilggood's own passing in 2000. Throughout his life, Gilggood navigated the complexities of his sexual identity within the constraints of his time. While he did not publicly acknowledge his homosexuality, his contributions to the arts and the gradual shift in societal attitudes toward LGBTQ+ individuals have led to a posthumous recognition of his role as a significant gay figure in theater history. Tyrone Power. Tyrone Power was a star whose personal life was shrouded in mystery. Known for his dashing good looks and magnetic performances in films like The Mark of Zorro and Blood and Sand, Power also led a private life that didn't always align with the heteronormative expectations of the golden age of Hollywood. While married 3 times to women, Power was widely rumored to have had relationships with men, a topic that remained hidden due to the societal and industry pressures of his time. His bisexuality was an open secret among Hollywood insiders. Accounts suggest he had affairs with men during his rise to fame, including rumored relationships with actor Cesar Romero and a number of prominent men within the industry. Despite his public persona as a romantic leading man, Power's personal life was carefully managed by studio executives to maintain his appeal to audiences. Power's struggle to reconcile his private desires with his public image reflects the challenges faced by LGBTQ+ actors in a deeply homophobic era. His untimely death at 44 left questions unanswered, but his enduring legacy as a talented and complex individual adds depth to his story, both on and off the screen. Van Johnson. Van Johnson was a prominent Hollywood actor from the 1940s and 1950s. He was widely rumored to be gay, though he never publicly acknowledged his sexuality during his lifetime. His clean-cut, all-American image made him a beloved leading man, but it also required him to conform to the rigid expectations of a conservative society and industry. Johnson's marriage to Evie Wynn, the ex-wife of actor Keenan Wynn, was reportedly orchestrated by MGM Studios to dispel rumors about his sexuality and preserve his image as a romantic hero. Industry insiders and biographers have noted that Johnson had discreet relationships with men, which he kept hidden to protect his career. Hollywood's strict morality clauses and the societal stigma around homosexuality during that era left him little choice but to live a double life. Despite his struggles to conform to societal norms, Johnson is remembered as a talented actor who starred in films like the human comedy 30 Seconds Over Tokyo and Brigadoon. His life highlights the immense pressures faced by LGBTQ+ actors in classic Hollywood and serves as a reminder of the courage required to navigate a hostile environment while staying true to oneself in private. Roddy McDowell. McDowell was a child actor who appeared in films such as Murder in the Family, 1938, How Green Was My Valley in 1941, My Friend Flicka in 1943, and Lassie Come Home also in 1943. He later moved to New York to act on Broadway and at the Stratford Festival. He also became a naturalized U.S. citizen in 1949. McDowell was never married and had no children. McDowell often played camp, frustrated bachelors in his later career. Although he never came out publicly, it was well known that the British-American actor was gay. He died from lung cancer in 1998 at the age of 70. James Whale. James Whale, the director of classic horror films like Frankenstein and The Invisible Man, was openly gay in a conservative industry. Whale was an openly gay man in Hollywood in the 1930s, which was not an easy life. The two Frankenstein films were a way for Whale to give a coded clue to his queerness and his feelings of being an outsider. Gods and Monsters gives us this with understated intelligence and elegance. Whale's longtime partner David Lewis wrote, "Jimmy was first and foremost an artist. His films represent the work of an artist, not a gay artist, but an artist." Whale's relationships with men were no secret, but his career suffered as Hollywood's tolerance waned. His life and struggles were later depicted in the film Gods and Monsters, highlighting the complexities of being a pride artist in a restrictive environment. Michael Redgrave. The BBC documentary Michael Redgrave, My Father, narrated by Corin Redgrave, discussed Michael's bisexuality in some depth. Rachel Kempson recalled that when she proposed to him, Redgrave said that there were difficulties to do with his nature and that he felt he ought not to marry. She said that she understood, it didn't matter, and that she loved him. They married in 1935 and stayed together for 50 years until Michael's death. Redgrave's male lovers included Noel Coward in the late 1930s. During the filming of Secret Beyond the Door, in 1948, Redgrave met Bob Michel. They became lovers, and Michel set up house close to the Redgraves, becoming a surrogate uncle to Redgrave's children who adored him. Michel later had children of his own, including a son he named Michael. Michael admitted to his son, "I am, to say the least of it, bisexual." Corin encouraged him to acknowledge his bisexuality in his last autobiography. Michael agreed, but in the end, he chose to remain silent. He died in 1985 of Parkinson's disease. Among his effects was a card with W.H. Auden's words, "The word is love. Surely one fearless kiss would cure the million fevers." George Nader. George Nader, a leading man of the 1950s, sacrificed his career to protect his close friend Rock Hudson from being outed. Nader's own homosexuality was an open secret, but he lived a discreet life with his partner, Mark Miller. Nader's decision to prioritize his personal integrity over his career has made him a quiet hero in LGBTQ+ history. Ramon Estevez, Martin Sheen. Ramon Estevez, famously known as Martin Sheen, has long been a revered figure in Hollywood, celebrated for his acting talent and his fearless advocacy for social justice. However, whispers about his personal life, particularly during the early stages of his career, suggest a more complex story. Rumors of Sheen's secret relationships with men have circulated for decades, though he has never publicly confirmed or denied these claims. At a time when such relationships were taboo, especially for an actor aspiring to leading man status, Sheen is said to have navigated these liaisons with discretion, ensuring his private life remained out of the public eye. Hollywood in the mid-20th century was notorious for its unforgiving attitude toward LGBTQ+ actors, forcing many to live double lives. Sheen, while outwardly maintaining a heterosexual public persona, allegedly fostered deep and meaningful connections with men who shared his world. Despite the secrecy, those close to him often admired his ability to balance his personal desires with the pressures of the industry. As his career flourished, Sheen became an outspoken ally for LGBTQ+ rights, adding weight to the speculation surrounding his past. His rumored affairs with men, though unconfirmed, add another layer to his legacy as a man who championed authenticity and equality in a restrictive era. These actors and their stories reflect the complex interplay between identity and industry in classic Hollywood. Their courage and talent have left an indelible mark, inspiring future generations to live authentically and pursue their passions fearlessly.